Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadhalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we will be speaking from Gaur Leela. And I thought, for a change, instead of speaking, I thought I'll take up a bhajan and just discuss Gaur Leela via this bhajan. So this is actually it's an ashtakam, Sachisutastakam. So I thought today we will take up these 8 verses of Sachisutastakam written by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and we will recite one verse, and then we will discuss deep into it. If it's possible, you can share the Sachisutastakam on the screen. So we know that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a very intimate and a special associate of Mahaprabhu. And I would say special so much so because if we see at the fag end, when Mahaprabhu was in Puri, that 18 years, he had the association of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And even when Mahaprabhu took sannyas for the first time when he comes to Puri, then we all know how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya finds Mahaprabhu lying in front of Jagannath unconscious, and then he takes him home. So they had long association together. And this is a very beautiful 8 verses Ashtakam where Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is not only praising and glorifying the Lord's beauty, but also the Lord's mission, apart from the various other attributes. One thing I found very striking about this Ashtakam is that this is called Sachisutastakam. And it's talking about the Lord's dress and the Lord's beauty and his complexion and his face, and which is so surprising because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he met Lord only after he took sannyas. So then after sannyas, Lord is in a simple dress, definitely, and there is no long hairs and that all beauty. But then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explains so beautifully about Lord's beauty and his dress and his charisma and his style and his walking and all. So then we can understand by this that they are all Lord's eternal associates, and it's not that they will talk only about those leelas which they observe directly. They just glorify the Lord in their meditation because they're all eternally related to the Lord, and they are the Nija Parshada. So they just glorify the Lord in different rupa, not only that rupa which they have perceived directly in this particular Leela. And what was the other thing which was very special is calling it Sachisutastakam. That means Sachi Mata, Suta means child. So the Ashtakam glorifying the beloved child of Sachi Mata. Now, frankly, the history that we have, there is no connection between Sachi Mata and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They have never met each other because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was from Navadvip, but when he was in Navadvip, at that time Lord didn't even appear at that time. And he just met Lord after he shifted to Puri, and then Lord takes sannyas and comes to Puri. That is where their interaction started. So he had no connection with Sachi Mata, but still he calls it Sachisutastakam. So that means it's just that he wants to emphasize a point that Lord may be the progenitor of the whole world. He may be the master of the universe. But what we are talking about here is the beloved child of Sachi Mata, because Lord likes to be addressed like that. He loves it when somebody connects him to his devotees. That is what he relishes a lot. Sometimes I ask the devotees, when we are all let's say we are in Mayapur and there are lots of devotees in the temple hall, and we're all, sincerely praying to Radha Madhav. Now, there are thousands of devotees. And if we want that Radha Madhav should exclusively look at us. How is it possible? We may not be that elevated also that Radha Madhav is going to look at us. So I tell the devotees that there is one secret. If you want Radha Madhav should look at you in the crowd of so many thousands of devotees standing there in the temple hall, then you do one thing. You just chant in your heart, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Just remember Srila Prabhupada. Just say Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And the moment you do that, no matter how much crowd is there in the temple, the Lord will immediately look, who is that calling out the name of my pure devotee? And immediately his attention will be drawn on us. So that's like one secret to draw Lord's attention on us. Because when we remember his pure devotees, when we call him in connection with his pure devotees, when Lord is addressed as Nanda Nandan, or he's addressed as Yashoda Nandan, then he immediately becomes so happy. Gopi Jana Vallabha. That's why we call Radha Damodhar. The moment you address him in connection with his devotee, he immediately becomes so happy. So that is why we always chant at the end of the Aarti, beginning of the Aarti, wherever we are, we make sure we say Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And that is a way to attract Lord's attention on us. In fact, I keep telling the devotees that if we want to draw the attention of the Lord, one thing we should do as a Vaishnava etiquette is that whenever we are standing in the Aarti, we should never stand in front of any senior devotee or even next to them. We should always stand behind them, because the whole point is, imagine you are in Mangala Harti and the Lord has just got up. And now he sees all the devotees, receiving him. And then imagine his eyes fall on us. Immediately it will be like, because we are so full of kama, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya. He'll be so disappointed to look at us. But when he looks at his pure devotee, he gets a smile on his face. Okay, here's my pure devotee standing. And then when we are standing behind that pure devotee, somehow we'll come in that picture, just like sometimes, we just squeeze in the picture of, with some celebrity, some celebrity standing, and we somehow want to squeeze inside and be in that photo frame. So Lord is always looking at his pure devotee. And if we are standing behind that devotee in the Aarti, there is all chances that somewhere Lord will glance on us and we'll also come under Lord's divine glance. So that's one way that we can, get into his eyes. So here, that is why you see this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he says Sachisutastakam, he's that son of Sachi Mata, that beloved Gaura, son of Sachi Mata, to him I pay my obeisances, because the moment Lord is related with his devotee's name, he becomes happy. Actually, it's so loving. Actually, I remember, now I don't know what's the latest fashion nowadays. I see even after they get married, most of them, they don't want to change their surnames. I don't know if it's for legal purpose or they want to have their own identity. It has become a fashion now. They just keep their surname. But when I got married 25 years back, it was so sweet to have your husband's surname to you. And it used to be so sweet when you just get engaged, everybody start teasing you. Oh, so now you're going to become Mrs. Das, or you're going to become Mrs. Rao, Mrs. Reddy, and they become so happy that, yeah, now I'm going to get my husband's surname, because they love each other, and it feels so happy to have identity of that person with you, or you getting identified as belonging to that person. That same feeling the Lord has, he feels so happy when you say Nanda Nandan. He's like, oh, so son of Sachi, son of Yashoda, son of Nanda. He becomes so happy. So Sachisutastakam. So here every line you will see, in the ending, he'll say, Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram. So with this intro, we start reciting the first verse, and then we will see how the flow goes. Nava Gauravaram, Nava Pushpasaram, Nava Bhavadharam, Navalasya Param, Navahasya Karam, Nava Hemavaram, Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram, Nava Gauravaram, Nava Pushpasaram, Nava Bhavadharam, Navalasya Param, Navahasya Karam, Nava Hemavaram, Pranamami Sachisutastakam. Very, very beautiful description he has given here. He says, Nava Gauravaram. My Lord, you are having Gauravaram. You are having golden complexion. Now, this golden complexion itself is so attractive and it's so striking. But the golden complexion itself signifies something which is more enchanting. Why? Because you see, why did the Lord get the golden complexion in first place? That itself is so beautiful. The Vedic scriptures say that the Lord is the supreme enjoyer. So it doesn't mean that he is supreme enjoyer, so the people who serve him don't enjoy. The Lord has made such an arrangement that he is a supreme enjoyer, but the people who serve him, they enjoy more than him. Now, this is something special. The people who serve him, assist him, enjoy more than he enjoys. So now we know that Lord felt bereaved. How come the people who serve me are enjoying more than I'm enjoying? So then that is why the Lord takes the Radha Bhava. What is that? Radha Bhava Dyuti Swalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. He takes the mood and he takes the complexion of Radha Rani. And our Sham Varna, that means our black Krishna, becomes Gaura Varna, becomes golden complexion. So Nava Gauravaram, beautiful golden complexion. Now Nava means new. And if you see in the whole coming one or two stanzas, this word Nava is been prefixed. Now, what is this? Why Nava, new? So if you see in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where this chapter 64 qualities of Krishna, we see that one quality of Krishna which is mentioned is Nitya Nava Navaya Mana. He is eternally fresh and youthful. So not only eternally youthful in his age, but also the various other attributes of the Lord. He's always new and he's always youthful, There is one book by Dhyana Chandra Goswami, who is a disciple of Gopal Guru. That same Gopal Guru, who was who instructed that Krishna's name should be chanted everywhere, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the name Gopal Guru. Now he had a disciple called Dhyana Chandra Goswami, and he has written a very beautiful book. It's called Gaur Govinda Archana Smarana Paddhati. And in that book, Krishna's exact age, Radharani's exact age is mentioned. They say that Krishna is ever youthful. He never becomes old. In Goloka Vrindavan, he's always 15 years, 9 months, and 7.5 days old. And Radharani is 14 years, 2 months, and 15 days old. And they always remain like that. They never become old, or they never have a white hair, or they never have a wrinkle. They're always looking kishore, beautiful, and youthful. See, the whole world, the whole cosmetic world, the whole world is, having only one agenda: how to look young, how to look beautiful. If you see all the advertisements, I remember when I was in college, there was this one advertisement about Santoor. I think that soap is still there, Santoor. One girl is dancing, and then everybody's looking at her in awe, so beautiful. And suddenly one little girl walks in, and she says, "Mummy," and immediately everybody's like, "Oh, she's a mother, but she looks so young and beautiful. We thought maybe she's not even married, but she looks like she also has a daughter." And then they ask her, "So what's the secret of you looking so youthful?" And then she says, "It's Santoor soap. I use Santoor soap, so I look so young and beautiful." So the whole world, everybody's trying to look young, everybody's trying to look beautiful. But this is the Lord's innate quality. He's always looking youthful. Nava Gauravaram, always new, always youthful, always looking beautiful. So Nava Gauravaram, new, fresh, golden complexion. And then in the second word, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya uses, he says, Nava Pushpasaram. Now, saram means arrows. Pushpasaram means flower arrows. So Nava Pushpasaram means whenever the Lord is glancing, it is as if Lord is throwing arrows. Now, why this comparison is used? See, Pushpa, if somebody throws a flower on us, we will not mind it. It's honorable. Somebody is throwing flowers on us. But these Pushpa Saram, they are the arrows of the Cupid. Now, these Cupid arrows are such, they are made up of flower. They look very nice like flower, but when they pierce you, your heart, they pierce like an arrow, and it's painful. That's why we see, in the Bollywood movies and in those material karmi posters, wherever there is a heart shape, they'll show an arrow. Arrow pierce the heart. That is the arrow of the Cupid, because it looks like a flower, but it is so painful. So here they say, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, the Lord's glance is also like the arrow of the Cupid, Nava Pushpa Saram. So beautiful. When Lord glances at somebody, oh God, they're finished. And such beautiful way, a beautiful glance, the Lord glances on the devotee and he conquers their heart. When I was reading this verse, I was reminded of this beautiful story of Dhanurdas. I don't know if I've told this story in this forum, how this Ramanujacharya's disciple Dhanurdas had a beautiful wife called Hemamba. And this Hemamba, she had so beautiful eyes, and Dhanurdas was so attached to her that even when he walked, he never walked along the side. He would always walk in front of her and turn backwards and keep looking at her eyes while he walks. So when Ramanujacharya, he sees this scene, he immediately asks his disciples, go and call this guy. I want to speak to him. And they are like, Guru Maharaj, he's so lusty, what you will speak to him? And Ramanuja is like, no, get him. I want to talk to him. And then he asked Dhanurdas, what are you up to? What are you trying to do? So he says, no, nothing. My wife has beautiful eyes and I don't like to, even for a minute waste my time. I just want to look at her as long as I'm walking with her. So then Ramanujacharya makes a proposal. He said, oh, really? Oh, if I show you somebody who has more beautiful eyes than your wife? And he's like, unbelievable. There's nobody in this world who has more beautiful eyes than my wife. And then Ramanujacharya says, okay, if I show you, then what? Then he says, then I'll dedicate my life to that person. And then Ramanujacharya says, okay, come tomorrow early morning. Now Dhanurdas is thinking whole night, how can somebody look beautiful early in the morning? Even my wife won't look beautiful early in the morning. She needs to do some makeup. So early in the morning, he comes to Ramanuja. Then Ramanuja holds his hand and takes him inside the sanctum sanctorium of Sri Ranganath. And when Dhanurdas looks at the eyes of Ranganath, he just falls down, on Ramanuja's feet and says, thank you so much. And now my life is dedicated to Ranganath. And that's how he becomes one of the very prominent disciples of Ramanujacharya, just by looking at the beautiful eyes of Ranganath. So here, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is saying that Lord has such beautiful eyes that when he glances at somebody, then he just conquers those devotees' heart. So Nava Gauravaram, Nava Pushpasaram, Nava Bhavadharam, newer and newer emotions. Lord has come as a devotee. He's not showing himself as Krishna. He's in the form of a devotee. So he's expressing newer and newer emotions in love of Krishna. And then he says, Navalasya Param. Navalasya Param is Lord is so lovable, so personable, and his ever new dances. Lasya Param is dancing, always dancing in different steps, in different styles, and always new way, just like Krishna. Sometimes he's dancing on the top of Kaliya, sometimes like a peacock, sometimes in the Rasa Leela, sometimes with Radharani, sometimes imitating the monkeys, doing all sorts of things. So here also in Chaitanya Leela, when Lord is dancing in Harinam Sankirtan, he's always dancing in a different style, in a different way, which was not repeated so beautifully, sometimes raising his hand this way, sometimes raising one hand and one hand below, and is, in such a beautiful way he dances. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is simply meditating on the beautiful form of the Lord. Oh, Nava Gauravaram, golden complexion, Nava Pushpasharam, oh, beautiful glances of the eyes, Nava Bhavadharam, oh, beautiful emotions. It's not only about physical beauty. What makes a person very beautiful is the bhava of the person. If the person has beautiful heart, beautiful bhava, then that also reflects on their face. So nava bhava dharam, nava lasya param. Oh, beautiful dancing, Lord is doing. Then he says, nava hasya karam. Now this is something. Hasyakaram, is it? I mean, we hear that Krishna did all jokes with Madhu Mangal and all, but really, did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu crack jokes? We never heard that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, of course, the pre-sannyas days, Lord had this humorous banter with Kolavecha Sridhar and making fun and not allowing him to sell and doing all that bargaining. But otherwise, if you see after sannyas, we never hear him cracking any jokes with somebody. But then here, Hasyakaram is on two levels. One is, joking, but the other thing is the overall cheerful disposition. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always cheerful. It's not that he was, very grave or something. Sometimes he's very cheerful, very loving. If we see his dealings with the devotees, giving them hug, affection, holding their hands, talking sweetly, glorifying them, such a cheerful disposition he had. Of course, except his ecstasies when he just crying for Krishna, that's a different thing. But overall, he was so enthusiastic, made all the devotees do the Gundicha Marjan, always enthusiastic for engaging people in service of Krishna and newer preaching strategies. So, Navahasya Karam. Lord had such cheerful disposition. Then he says, Navahemavaram. Now we'll think, just now we spoke Navagauravaram about his golden complexion. Why again 2 times it's mentioned here again, Navahemavaram. He has a golden complexion. Now Srila Prabhupada, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, he says whenever something is repeated, there are 2 reasons. One is to emphasize on that point, and the other thing is when it is repeated, it gives more clarity. That's it. And we all know that one of the most defining attribute of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is his golden complexion. So that's why it's mentioned 2 times, Nava Gauravaram, then they again say Nava Hemavaram. And then in the last it says, Pranamami Sachisutastakam. Oh, to that Lord Gauranga, I bow down, who is the beloved son of Mother Sachi. So with this, we'll go to the explanation of the 2nd verse. Nava prema yutam nava nita sucham nava vesa kritam nava prema rasam nava dhavila sachubha prema mayam pranamami sachi sutagauravaram nava prema yutam nava nita sucham nava vesa kritam nava prema rasam nava dhavila sashubha prema mayam pranamami sachi sutagauravaram. Beautiful, beautiful sloka. This is nava prema yutam. Nava prema yutam. Yutam means worship. Nava prema yutam means different ways in which the Lord is expressing his love for Krishna. Ever fresh, ever fresh. Sometimes we also express our devotion, but our excitement levels are so different. Sometimes very excited in Krishna consciousness, sometimes dull. But then here is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, but the Lord is ever fresh in his worship of Krishna. Ever fresh, ever same excitement. Now I don't know, but every devotee will vouch that the first day that they walked in the temple and that first kirtan And that first prasadam that they had, and the first interaction, the first class that they heard, they say they'll never forget. It was such a beautiful experience. But here, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is saying that the Lord experienced such emotions every time. Every time it is as if the first time. Wow, this is the first time maybe I heard this kid, the first time that we did it. Same excitement, same happiness, Nava Prema Yutam. Different ways he's expressing his love for Krishna, because here Lord is as a devotee. So Nava Prema Yutam, Navanita Sucham. Navanita means butter. Navanita Sucham means, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, the Lord's effulgence is like a butter. Somebody will say, butter? Yeah, butter also has effulgence. If you just see, especially, if you make butter at home, especially from the cow milk, you just put the butter on the plate, the freshly made butter, it really has an effulgence, I mean, this is just a normal Kali Yuga milk, and the Kali Yuga cows, I mean, they may not be pure Desi cows also, but then imagine, we are talking about the pure butter. So these pure butter made up of cow milk is really effulgent. So he says, Lord's beauty is like Navanita Sucham. So if you see in the first stanza, they spoke about the color of the skin. Lord's skin is Gauravaram, it's golden complexion. Second para, they're saying Lord's halo, I mean effulgence from his body. The effulgence is like a Navanita Sucham, like a butter, so divine it looks. In fact, in the 64 qualities of Krishna, one quality of Krishna is given is Tejasanvita. Tejasanvita. Lord is so effulgent. In that explanation, there's one pastime given how the gopis were complaining to Yashoda Mata that you are putting so many jewels on Krishna that when Krishna comes to steal butter, no matter in which dark corner of the house we put the butter pot, but Krishna is having so many jewelry. So with that light, he's seeing where the butter pot is and he's stealing it. Why not you do something about it? But even if Jashoda Mata takes out the jewels, the gopis don't understand that there is an effulgence coming out from Krishna's body itself. There's no need of any other jewel. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, what is that sloka? Na tada bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka. There is no light required, external sun or moon. The Lord's body itself is so effulgent. There's, so much effulgence coming out from his whole body. Now, usually, those who are great personalities, you see there's some poster or some picture, they'll show some halo, behind his forehead, some round halo. Even in our temples, we put this effulgence behind the Lord's archa, behind the Lord's vigraha. But here they're saying it's not behind the head itself. The whole body, every part, every limb of the Lord body is glowing. And, if you remember this pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how, when Lord meets Prabodhananda Saraswati and all the Mayavadi sannyasis, how he attracts them or mesmerizes them by his effulgence. Because they're all pakka, hard-hearted Mayavadis. And when Lord exhibits his effulgence, then they all, they get impressed by the beauty of the Lord. So at that time, Lord just bowls them over with his Brahman effulgence, which he exhibits, which he manifests at that moment. So, Nava Prema Yutam, Nava Nita Sucham. And then he says, Nava Vesha Krutam. Okay, now what is about the Vesha? The sannyasi is supposed to be simple. Sannyasi's dress is simple. So what dress is he praising? So here, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is not talking about now. He's talking about his pre-sannyas days in Navadvip. He's just meditating on those pastimes. Because at that time, Nimai Pandit, he was so charismatic. What I was reading the other day, I was reading one very interesting, I think Prema Vivarta, very interesting. There's one point mentioned that wherever the Lord goes, he walks with his disciples, or the one whom he used to teach in his school. And everywhere he goes, he's surrounded by his disciples, and he walks in a style, like an elephant, on the street, so charismatic, beautiful dress. And because he was a teacher and he was one of the renowned teachers, he used to get a lot of donation and he used to get a lot of Beautiful clothes also as gift, just like in the Krishna Leela, we read this pastime when Lord goes to Mathura and the tailor gives him clothes and the Kubja gives him sandal paste, and everybody, the flower seller gives Lord the flower garland. Similarly, even when Lord used to walk in Navadvip in the afternoon time, after his schooling is over, takes prasadam, goes and takes bath in Ganga, and then in the mid-afternoon, he just walks around the market of Navadvip. Everybody used to come and offer him whatever they had, because he was so beautiful. When they used to look at him, they used to feel to offer something. So they used to offer him something, and then he used to wear it on him. So he's just remembering that. Oh, so beautiful. Navavesha Krutam, always wearing different color of clothes, beautiful colors, beautiful style. Oh, what charisma. Now, somebody may think, oh, but really, how did you see that? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya never saw that. He saw Lord only after taking sannyas. But it's just that the devotees of the Lord, they not only meditate on the direct experience or the personal experience that they had with the Lord, but they meditate on all the leelas of the Lord. Like we see in the first canto, ninth chapter of Bhagavatam, we see in the Bhishma, he's sometimes talking about his direct experiences. He says, oh my Lord, I can't forget the way you chased me with the wheel in your hand, raging with anger. Oh, I can't forget that beautiful scene. So here he talks about the direct experience, the personal experience that he had with the Lord. At the same time, in the other slokas, he'll mention Lord's pastime with the gopis, how Lord has attracted the heart of the gopis. So was Bhishma there in the Rasa Leela? He was not. But he meditates on those Leelas also which he hasn't seen, and on those also which he has directly seen. So here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is talking about those pre-sannyas Leela, where Lord wears beautiful dress and beautiful clothes. So he's just saying Nava Vesha Krutam, so beautiful. Nava Prema Rasam. This is Nava Prema Rasam, beautiful bhava. And then he says Navadha Vilasat. Now this is something special. He says Navadha Vilasat. Navadha means 9 forms. Like the 9 forms of devotional service that we do. Archanam, Smaranam, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So he says Navadha Vilasat. No, Vilasat means shining. So Navadha Vilasat means, he says, because here Lord is not Lord, right? Lord is come in the form of a devotee. So he says, just like when a devotee, he performs 9 different types of devotional service, then the devotee also becomes glorious. He's already he's glorifying the Lord by 9 different types of devotional service. But in the process of glorifying the Lord, the devotee is also glorified. Why the devotee? Because when he's talking about the Lord, the devotee also becomes attractive. So we see that sometimes, when we regularly hear one particular speaker or something, we get so attached to them. And now, why are we getting attached to them? They're just normal people. But only thing, because they're talking about Lord, and the way they delight in talking about the Lord, we get attracted to them, So that's what here he's saying, said, when a devotee glorifies the Lord, he also becomes shining, vilasat. So here, why I'm mentioning this, in this context, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says that Lord has come in the mood of a devotee, right? So he himself is delighting, is very happy in remembering Krishna and serving Krishna, and seeing his delightful mood. Others are getting charmed. Their hearts are getting charmed by the Lord's delight. See, sometimes, when somebody, see, our inspiration to worship Lord is not always linear. It's not that when you look at the beautiful form of the Lord, oh, now I'm attracted and I'll become devotee. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. We are not on that pure devotee stage. Sometimes our inspiration is triangle. I may not be directly inspired to serve the Lord, but I'm inspired by some devotee who is inspired to serve Lord. So that's why I want to serve Lord. It becomes triangle. I like that devotee, and that devotee likes Krishna. That's why I like Krishna. That sometimes it happens that way also. So sometimes when you see the other devotee, he's relishing so much in his japa, he's relishing the prasadam so much, he's relishing arti so much, he's relishing dressing the deity so much, then we feel, something must be there. Even I want to do that, So Lord is delighted And seeing him delighted is attracting everybody's heart. My husband, he's a Bengali. And Bengalis are so, what do you say? I mean, they can eat karela, the bitter gourd. They can eat neem leaves just like that. For them, it's like from childhood, they are habituated. Now, and, when my husband eats karela, the way he will eat it, now you will feel as if maybe he's eating some sweet. Almost every time I get cheated. When he's eating, I'll say, Prabhu, share with me. I also want to eat, because he's eating it with such delight. And when I put it in my mouth, I'm like, oh, why did I do it? But he eats it in such a happy mood, now, as if he's getting so much pleasure out of it. But when I eat it, I'm like, oh, why did I do it? Because the way his facial expression is like that. So similarly here, Lord is so delighted when he says Krishna's name. Oh, he's so excited when he's chanting, when he's singing, when he's dancing, and that seeing that delight, others are getting charmed. And so that's why he says Navadha Vilasat. When Lord is performing that 9 forms of devotional service to please Krishna, he is Vilasat. He's also shining so beautifully. And then he says, Shubha Premamayam. Shubha Premamayam. Shubha means auspicious. Prema means love. Prema Amala. Amala means spotless. So he's saying that the Lord's love for Krishna is Shubha Premamayam. It is pure, it is spotless, it is auspicious. Now, this is a very important point. Now, in this world also, there is prema. But if that prema is induced by physical attraction, then it is not Shubha anymore. It became Ashubha. Why? Because if that love is based on kama, then what will happen? It will make people do wrong things. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love for Krishna is Shubha Prema Mayam. And whoever comes in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also get infected with Shubha Prema Mayam, that pure, spotless love for Krishna. And we can see that. And we can see that in Srila Prabhupada. He got in touch with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he took that Shubha Prema Mayam, that mood, and then he went around the world distributing the Shubha Prema Mayam, distributing the love of Godhead to everybody. Okay, I think I'm going too deep. We'll not be able to complete. I'll go a little faster. So the Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram. So like that, he says, to that Sachisuta, I offer my humble obeisances. Now we'll go to the next verse. Hari Bhakti Param Hari Harinama Param Nayane Satatam Pranaya Shrudharam Pranamami Sachi Sutagauravaram Hari Bhakti Param Hari Namadharam Karaj Param Nayane Satatam Pranaya Shrudharam Pranamami Sachi Sutta Gauravaram. Very, very beautiful poem. It says, till now, in the first 2 stanzas, he's explaining about Lord's beauty and about Lord's complexion and about Lord's dress and all. But now, from the 3rd verse, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's meditation becomes very deep. It's no more about face or complexion, but now he's talking about the heart of the Lord. So how the heart of Lord is and what is his mission. Hari Bhakti Param, Hari Namadharam. So he says, you see this, even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, the Vedic Dharma was already there. It was already established. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did is, he established that Hari Bhakti Param, this Karma Kanda, not liberate us from the cycle of birth and death. So one has to practice pure dharma. So he established Hari Bhakti Param. Hari Bhakti is the Param. Hari Namadharam. Hari Namadharam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was intoxicated with love for Krishna. And anybody who came in contact with him also got the same madness, the same intoxication of chanting the Lord's name. We see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South Indian yatra, how almost anybody who came in touch with him became devotees. They started chanting and dancing with him, in the streets. And especially that's that particular pastime of the fisherman, when Lord goes and jumps in the water, and the fisherman thinks, catches the Lord in his fish net. And the moment he touches the unconscious body of the Lord, he also becomes mad and starts chanting Krishna's name. And then when I think it's Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he just meets him and he says, some ghost is there. The moment I touched the ghost, I also became mad. And then they ask him, where is that ghost? Take us. Because they know who is that ghost who must have touched this fisherman, and now he started chanting Krishna's name. So Hari Bhakti Param, Hari Nama Dharam. Then he says, Kara Japya Karam. That's a very important point. Karajhapya karam. So that means it's not that Lord was only doing kirtan, he was also chanting japa. So we all know that he was chanting on his bead. In Vrindavan, there is a place called Imli Tala, where Lord was sitting under that tree, and he used to chant his japa on the beads. So here, among the various limbs of bhakti, by this it is demonstrated that, of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his life, he demonstrated that the kirtan and japa is of paramount importance. It's not only kirtan but even japa. Lord was doing both. So Hari Bhakti Param, Hari Nama Dharam, Karajhapya Karam, Hari Nama Param. Then in the next line he says, Nayane Satatam Pranayashrudharam. So now he's talking about the inner disposition of the Lord. The Lord's heart is flooded with love for Krishna. And that love, it melts and forms into tears. And that tears come out from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes. It's a very important. Krishna is like actually, why does a devotee cry? That's a whole thing. Why when a devotee sees the Lord, why do they cry? The whole process is when they remember Krishna, when they see Krishna, when they remember Krishna, or when they chant Krishna's name, then that acts like a stimuli for them. They say Krishna, and then that makes them remember Krishna. And the moment they remember Krishna, then the waves of the emotion in their heart become so strong. It's like a tsunami's wave. What happens when there is tsunami? No more can the bank contain the water anymore. The water will just come out of the banks. So similar thing happens when a devotee is remembering Krishna, and that remembrance is so strong, and that emotion, that waves of devotion are so strong, then no more they can be contained inside the heart, so they just come out. So that overpowering wave of emotion that is so strong, and then devotee is longing for seeing the Lord, or for Krishna's presence, and that longing now comes in the form of the tears. So here it says that what is the Lord's disposition? Nayane satatam pranayashrudharam. Always the Lord's eyes are moist, always having tears in his eyes. Now, actually, in this material world, in the material level, we don't want to have emotion. What are we trying to do? What is that sloka? Sukhe dukhe same krutva. What we are trying to do is be equipoised, always be, sama. But in the spiritual life, it's not about only trying to remove material emotions from our heart, but it is about filling spiritual emotions. So okay, we are supposed to be equipoised, so not to become too excited when good things happen, not to become too morose. We have to be equipoised. We should have no emotions. No, it's not like that. We have emotions, but spiritual emotions. So we remove material emotions and then we replace them by spiritual emotions. So otherwise, what's the point? We may stop doing non-devotional activities, but the whole point is to add devotional activities in our curriculum. We may stop doing all non-devotional activities. We may stop associating with the non-Vaishnavas. But then what? What do we do with that empty space? Now we fill it up with the association of devotees. We fill it up with spiritual activities. So it's not about giving up material emotions. It is about filling our heart with spiritual emotions. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually it says in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would dance, he had such intense feelings of separation from Lord Krishna that the Ganga, which once flowed out from his feet, was now coming out from his eyes. That much he used to cry for Krishna. So this crying for Krishna, these tears are the culmination of spiritual devotion. So here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is saying that to that Lord who repeatedly and intensely demonstrates the topmost spiritual realization, I offer my humble obeisances. Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram. We'll go to the fourth verse. Satatam janata bhava tapaharam Paramartha parayana lokagatim navalehakaram jaga tapaharam pranamami sachisuta gauravaram satatam janata bhava tapaharam paramartha parayana lokagatim navalehakaram jaga tapaharam pranamami sachisuta gauravaram. Beautiful sloka. See, we are talking about Lord is so happy, Lord is dancing, Lord is beautiful, Lord is in ecstasy, Lord's delight is making others heart charmed by him. Now somebody may think in his mind, oh, is this fair? Lord is so happy, Lord is enjoying, he's in his own ecstasy, he's nava manifesting new beauty, new dancing, new relishing, new mellows. So does the Lord even think about me? I'm suffering in this material world. Does the Lord really care for me? So that is why this verse Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has put Satatam Janata Bhava Tapaharam. No, he's always remembering Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, just like we say in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says he's doing Satatam Janata Bhava Tapaharam. Not one time, not two times. Lord is Satatam. Continuously Lord is meditating. How should I cure the material miseries? What should I do? How should I bring this conditioned living entities back? Bhavatapaharam. Tapa means misery. Tapa also means disease of this material existence. So Lord is all the time thinking, how should I remove this disease of material existence? So that is the mission of the Lord. That is why the Lord came. I like that, one line from that bhajan, Jiva Jagona, where Lord says that I've brought the medicine. He says, Inechi aushadhi maya nase bado lagi harinama maha mantra lotu mimagi. He says, Enechi aushadhi maya. I brought it. I brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Oh, please take this maha mantra, the Lord says. So beautiful. So here he's saying that Satatam Janata Bhavatapaharam. Lord is always thinking. Not only that, you see, normally when there is a disease, the patient recognizes, oh, I have a disease and I should go for the cure. Let me go to a doctor and take his guidance and I should get myself cured, But the problem in Kali Yuga is nobody wants to go to the doctor. The doctor is coming to the patient, So usually it is the patient who is supposed to be worried. Oh, I have this disease. Let me take doctor's appointment. Doctor, what time you are available? But it is different here. Here in our case, the doctor is sitting next to the patient and waiting on the patient and telling the patient, please take medicine. See, I've brought this medicine from you. Please. The doctor is sitting next to the patient. So have we ever seen a doctor like this in the material world sitting? He'll come to the ICU, see you for a minute and go. But have you ever seen a doctor who sits next to you, holding your hand and just continuously thinking about how to cure you? This is what the Lord is doing. What is the Lord doing as Paramatma, as super soul? He's constantly with us, holding our hand, and he's continuously thinking, how should I deliver this person? What should I do? So Satatam Janata Bhavata Paharam. He's constantly meditating, how should I deliver this condition souls? You see, in the Navadvip Dham Mahatya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he expresses this conversation between Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, how all these souls will be delivered? So many souls are suffering in this material existence. How they will be delivered? So you see the expression of compassion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We see that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I'm the distributor of the fruits of love of God, but people are not ready to take it. So if they are not ready to take it, it's okay. I'll myself go and give it. And then he says, if people are not ready to purchase, I'll distribute it freely. But he says, I have so many fruits. I need helping hand. I need people to help me to distribute. So that is the Lord's constant anxiety. How can I relieve the miseries of material existence for the conditioned soul? And see, the other thing is the peculiarity of this material diseases. Usually when we have disease and we take some crocin, okay, I have fever. Then when my disease increase, I'll think, no, I better I go to doctor. And as the disease increase, I'll feel more tension. Oh, I just hope I don't have COVID. Oh, let me go and check. We become so serious. But the peculiarity of this material disease is, the more you get disease, the more you will think, I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't need anything. I'm simply fine. And if I'm not happy now, I'm going to become happy. So if somebody is thinking this material world is fine, I have no problem, I'm happy, that means he's terribly sick. Because that's how this disease is. The more you are sick, the more you will think I'm fine. So very rare are some people who understand, who have adequate intelligence, and they understand, no, I'm suffering. I want to break free from this suffering. And those people, they're very special. So the next line is about those people. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says that those people who become serious, no, I want to come out from this material world, what do? Paramartha Parayana Loka Gatim. They will make Lord as their only goal. That's it. They know that Lord is the well-wisher of everyone, and Lord is my only gatim. He is my only goal. So, Paramartha Parayana Loka Gatim. Those who are intelligent, they take shelter of the Lord. Not everyone takes a shelter, because not everyone understands that they need the shelter of the Lord. So that's the paradox. Lord is available for everybody, but everybody doesn't take shelter of the Lord, because they don't feel the need for it, because they are sick. They're terribly sick. So those who are dedicated to the supreme interest, like we see Rupa and Sanatan, they had the best of life, best of luxuries. From the material point of view, they were comfortable, respected, they had everything. But still they said, I'm suffering, we are fools. They renounced everything and they came and surrendered to the Lord. So those who are intelligent, they make Paramartha Parayana Lokagatim. They will make Lord as their goal. Then in the next line he says, Navaleha Karam Jagatapaharam. Now somebody may think, oh, so if somebody is intelligent and somebody makes the Lord as their Param Gatim, Lord will only take care of them. So what will happen to the other people who did not surrender to the Lord? This says, no, nothing to worry. Navaleha Karam Jagatapaharam. No. Even if they don't surrender, even they have not made Lord as their destination, still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not allow them to suffer. He will still manifest his sweetness of devotion in ever new and ever fresh way. And that is how he will attract their heart. So, this whole way of chanting, of raising hands and dancing and chanting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purposely propagated it and popularized it, because he wants that when people look at him, and then they get his mercy. So that means It's not that they have to consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as God. Even if they think about him as some saint, as some great devotee, or as some spiritual religious teacher who has contributed tremendously in raising global consciousness, that's all right. Still, they will be benefited. Still, they will be benefited. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made this chanting accessible to every. He made this chanting accessible to everybody. So when they knowingly, unknowingly, somehow they get, hear this Hari Nam, then Jagatapaharam, their tapa, their suffering will be gone. See, sometimes doctor will give you medicine. You take the medicine, but you don't want to take. You are lazy. You are reluctant. So, as a good doctor, what he'll do, na? He'll give you that medicine in a sweet flavor, pineapple flavor, strawberry flavor. This now the children's syrups, na, fever syrups, they'll come in different flavors. Somehow make it attractive so that you take medicine. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing. Navaleha karam jagatapaharam. He'll present it in so nicely in different flavors and somehow make it accessible to us, so that we will take that, like what did Srila Prabhupada do? He just made it accessible to everybody. When the hippies, they asked Srila Prabhupada, they're always talking about Vaikuntha. So what it is to be in Vaikuntha? And Prabhupada says, well, Vaikuntha is like an ocean of LSD. Now, if somebody hears this explanation, they'll go crazy. How can you talk about Vaikuntha, ocean of LSD, and you'll feel that you're always floating eternally in the ocean of LSD? Now, what Prabhupada did is he's basically bringing it on their level, and from their level, he's taking them up. It's like see, you are a teacher in a school and you are teaching a UKG, LKG child. You'll have to start with the ABCD only. You can't start talking about, you can't go with the spelling of pineapple, apple. First, you have to teach A, then B, then again A and T, and then slowly it will go. That's what Prabhupada did, always coming to their level and from their level, taking them up. You cannot speak high, they'll not understand. You just talk about bhava, this and that. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He made it so accessible to everybody, so simple, just chanting of Harinam, that's it. So even if those who had no conception of spiritual bliss, Srila Prabhupada, he made it so accessible, explaining from their terms how they understand it. So not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even his followers are doing the same thing. Jagatapaharam. So to such Gaura Chandra, I pay my humble obeisances. Now going to the next verse. Nija bhakti karam priya charutaram natanartana nagara rajakulam kulakamini manasalasya karam pranamami Sachisuta gauravaram. Nija bhakti karam priya charutaram natanartana nagara rajakulam kulakamini manasa lasyakaram pranamami Sachisuta gauravaram. So very beautiful. It says, Nija bhakti karam. What does the Lord do? What is Lord doing? In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar, he's performing his own devotion and he's releasing his own devotion. Nija bhakti karam. He's doing his own devotion. And by doing his own devotion, what he's doing, he's instructing us on how to do devotion. So Srila Prabhupada says, just like a teacher, the teacher may tell the student, write down. But if the student doesn't know how to write, then the teacher writes on the board. Then the student copies and learns how to write. So same thing Lord did. Nija bhakti karam, but by performing his own devotion, what he's trying to demonstrate is he's teaching us. Lord Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajivam namaskuru, mame vaishasi yuktavayavam atmanam madparayana. How should we do atmanam madparayana? How should we remember you all the time? How should we pay obeisances to you? How should we become your devotee? How should we worship you? Krishna gave instruction, but how to do it? So then Krishna again comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and demonstrate, this is how you do it, So Nija bhakti karam, as doing his bhakti, he's teaching. Then priya charutaram, for his devotees, priya, Lord is extremely dear. Why? because he's the unending reservoir of sweetness. So Priya Charutaram. And then he says, Nata Naratana Nagara Rajakulam. Raja, he's a king of what? Nata Naratana Nagara. He's the king of the dancers. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he used to go for Harinam Kirtan with his intimate associates, now they were all expert in singing and dancing, and they used to attract everybody's heart. So they were all expert, but among them, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the most expert. So he's like the king of the dancers. So he used to attract everybody's heart. So if everybody was like star, he was like the central moon, the center of attraction, the shining moon, the expert among all the dancers, and all were getting attracted to him. Then the next line he says, Kulakamini manasa lasyakaram. Kulakamini. Kulakamini means senses. Manasa means mind. So here he says, why was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting, and what will happen if we see him dancing and chanting? So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, actually, we have two problems in our life. One is our mind and another is our senses. And all the time, this mind and senses, they are disturbing us. Now, Kamini refers to the senses, which is filled with lust. And Manas means mind. So normally this mind and senses, they're lusty and they distract us from the path of devotion. But by the mercy of the Lord, we can get attracted to the path of the devotion and to Him. Now how? So normally our senses are very active, when it gets attracted to sense gratification. But when it comes to spiritual practice or devotion, we become very inert. See, have you ever seen anybody, if they go for a movie, in a theater, 3 hours movie, you'll never see anybody drowsing or sleeping, or you'll never see anybody sleeping while eating an ice cream. Whenever we are doing sense gratification, our senses are so active. We are so wide awake watching the 3 hours movie, or wide awake while eating or enjoying our senses. But while we are chanting, we'll doze off. We may sleep. Our eyes will get closed. Because whenever we try to serve the Lord, then our senses don't cooperate. But when we want to do sense gratification, they'll become very active. So now, when somebody associates with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they do the Harinam Kirtan, then by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the senses will become spiritualized. When the senses become spiritualized, then we will delight in singing and dancing and glorifying Krishna with our senses. See, there's this one very famous verse by Rupa Goswami. What is that? It says, Tunde Tandavini Ratim Vitanute Tunda Vali Labdhyaye Karna Krodha Kadambini Ghatayate Karnar Budhe Dhyaspriham Cheta Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritam Na jane janito kiyabdhiramrite Krishneti varnadvai. He says that so much nectar, this 2 syllables Krishna is giving me, that I'm feeling, I wish I had thousands of tongues and millions of ears to hear this names of Krishna. I think it's from Vigada Madhava. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by giving us this nectar of the holy name, he makes the mind and the senses to dance with devotional stimuli. Usually we dance with material stimuli. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we dance with the devotional stimuli when we hear this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Actually, some people, even in this translation which I saw on the internet, they translated Kula Kamini as the woman getting attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the young woman. Just like, in Krishna Lila, we say that the women were attracted, the gopis and the young women of Mathura, they were attracted by Krishna. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said this is not correct. This is incorrect understanding. He said the Kula Kamini is not talking about women, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was a sannyasi, so he had no dealings with women. And even when he was a grahastha, he was very strict in his dealings. So it was not that, like what he did in Krishna Lila, he was attracting women. He was attracting everybody. He was attracting women and he was attracting men. So particularly, he was not having any dealing with anybody in Madhurya Rasa. Only thing is, he was not having dealing with anybody in Madhurya Rasa with himself as center. He had dealing with Krishna in Madhurya Rasa. So he is a devotee and he loves Krishna in Madhurya Rasa. That is different. But he himself being the center of Madhurya Rasa and all the women folk getting attracted to him, that is not mentioned anywhere. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi. And even in his pre-sannyas days also, he was very strict grahastha. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur doesn't accept that translation. He says, Kulakamini means senses. So our senses and mind, they distract us, but by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we can use that same senses and mind in service of Krishna. So where were we? Here we are. Kulakamini manasa lasya karam. So to such Lord, who makes my senses and my mind to dance with the holy name, I offer my humble obeisances. We'll go to the next verse. Karatala-valam kalakantaravam mriduvadya suvini kaya madhuram nija bhakti gunavrita natyakaram pranamami Sachisuta gauravaram karatala-valam kalakantaravam mriduvadya suvini kaya madhuram nija bhakti gunavrita natyakaram pranamami Sachisuta gauravaram. In this verse, Karatala-valam kalakantavaram, it's talking about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actively participating in Harinam Kirtan. So he would himself play Kartal and then he would sing the holy name. And then when he would sing the holy name, it was not only holy name and Kartal, there were various musical instruments that were played in the background, like the veena and some other instruments. So here they say Mridu Vadya, very, very Mridu Vadya, very beautiful background noise. And it says Suvinakaya. I just hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Suvinakaya means very attractive. The whole attraction of the chanting of holy name was not only singing. Of course, the holy name is supreme and it's the most central aspect of Sankirtan. But what is the actual principle of Sankirtan? What it means by Sankirtan? See, if you want to chant only holy name, we can do japa also. The whole point Sankirtan means, sun means together. So one meaning of Sankirtan is that we all chant together, all the devotees together do, that is Sankirtan. One other meaning of Sankirtan is with all our senses, our mind is thinking about Krishna, we are looking at Krishna, hearing and chanting and singing, and with the physical body we are dancing, that is Sankirtan. When all our faculties are engaged in Kirtan, that is called Sankirtan. So it's not that the human faculty is only about speaking. There is a faculty of dancing, playing music. So what here they are trying to say is that the whole process of bhakti is not only about rejecting material things, but connecting the material with spiritual. That means if somebody sings nicely, they should sing for Krishna. If somebody dance, then dance for Krishna. Somebody knows very beautiful movements, in dancing, they should do that for Krishna. So it's not that we reject any material attributes. No, we just convert them into spiritual. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also is dancing, playing kirtan, some Mridu Vadya is going on, and this whole thing is so attractive, so beautiful. So the whole point is, we are doing Sankirtan, not passive, active. People, in some other sampradayas and all, their whole thinking is meditation or bhajan means it should be passive, should be silent, peaceful, But but process of bhakti is more engaging. Mind is engaged, senses are engaged, eyes, nose, everything is engaged. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Harinam Sankirtan, where the devotees would see. If you see the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there also they're talking, if you see in our bhakti tradition as a whole, this bhajan singing and all is from long time. It's not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, introduced it. Before that also people used to sing bhajans. What he really introduced is using every faculty in service of Krishna and actively participating. See, even now, if you go to this South Indian temples, down south, you come to this Ramanuja Sampradaya temples, there is no active participation. Somebody will be doing arti, some 2-3 people will be singing, and we are expected to stand there with our hands joined. So we cannot actively participate in the kirtan. We just watch. That is what they expect, that we watch it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it like a responsive kirtan. Somebody will sing, everybody else should also follow singing. So it's so happening. Everybody actively participates. So that made it so interesting. All our senses are involved in that. So that's what he's saying here. That karatala valam kalakanta varam mriduvadasu vini kaya madhuram nija bhakti gunavrita natyakaram. Yeah. So while doing so, is that's why you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhupada, many places he says they are the father of the Sankirtan movement, because they taught this responsive Kirtan where actively all our senses are involved. So, Nija Bhakti Gunavrita Natyakaram. He was relishing his own devotion, but while doing so, he was manifesting such ecstasy that not only was his heart absorbed in Krishna, but he would also attract others' hearts toward Krishna. So this is what he's saying, that Nija Bhakti Gunavrita Natyakaram. He was absorbed in Krishna and he would attract others' hearts also towards Krishna. To such a Lord who is a son of Sachi, I pay my humble obeisances. I offer my humble obeisances. We'll go to the 7th verse. Yugadharmayutam punarnandasutam dharani suchitram bhava bhavochitam tanu dhyanachitam nija vasayutam pranamami sachi sutta gauravaram yugadharmayutam puna nandasutam dharani suchitram bhava bhavochitam tanu dhyanachitam nija vasayutam pranamami sache sutta gauravaram. So here it says Yuga Dharma Yutam. Yutam means worship. Yuga Dharma Yutam. Now we all know this sloka in what is that in Gita, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Lord comes in every yuga. But the speciality here is not only does Lord come as a pracharak to preach about Yuga Dharma, but he is also the one to be worshipped, because he is the Yuga Avatara. So he is also the one who is to be worshipped in this as a Yuga Dharma, So he's not only the Prastapak or the Pracharak, but he's also Yuga Dharma Yutam. He's supposed to be worshipped by Yuga Dharma. So normally he manifested himself as a devotee, and if anybody would glorify the Lord, he would close his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu, don't glorify Jiva as the Supreme Lord. This he used to instruct, it's an instruction for ordinary Jivas like us, so we are careful. But whereas at special occasion we saw that Lord was getting worshipped, like in the Mahaprakasha Leela, he manifested himself as a Supreme Lord, and then he attracted the hearts of the devotees. And at that time in Mahaprakasha Leela, he was not playing the role of a devotee. As a Supreme Lord, he blessed everyone. So Lord Chaitanya had a particular mission, and he demonstrated the principles of devotion. So most of his life he was acting as a devotee, not like a lord, but he is the one who is supposed to be worshipped. Yuga Dharma Yutam. But devotees who were with him, they understood his mission and they understood his heart and they understood his compassion, that he has come here to demonstrate the principle of devotion. See, that book by Bhakti Thakur, the life and percepts of Lord Chaitanya, in the introduction, he explains about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that how so many extraordinary pastimes he has performed and how he has charmed the hearts of millions of people with his wisdom and beauty and devotion and attraction. But in the conclusion, Bhakti Thakur says, I leave it to the readers to decide what they want to consider the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. whether they want to accept him as an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, because he has performed many miracles which testify his supreme position. But at the same time, he says, miracles are not the primary sign of divinity, because even demons perform miracles. Ravan also used to change his form and he kidnapped Sita. So it's not only about miracle, but the real miracle performed was not something that was performed in the past, but the real miracle is that which is being performed now and will be performed for another 10,000 years to come. So that is the miracle in the heart. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did is, he did a miracle in the heart. He awakened within the heart the waves of devotion. He made everybody Krishna Bhakta. So the devotees of the Lord, they glorify him because of this gift that he has given, that the change of heart that he has, like a good teacher that he has done, in everybody's heart. So then he says, Purna Nanda Sutam. So that Krishna who had come earlier, Nanda Sutta, he has now come again to teach through his sweeter ways and demonstrate through his own life the principles of bhakti. So Yuga Dharma Yutam Puna Nanda Sutam. Oh, that Nanda's son has come back again to preach the Yuga Dharma. Then he says, Dharani Suchitram Bhava Bhavochitam. Dharani Chitra is beautiful. Suchitra means something which is extraordinarily attractive. Dharani Suchitra means when the Lord descends, the Mother Earth, she feels so happy because the Lord's feet are touching her body. See, I think this one sloka comes in Gopi Gita in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 31, verse number 13, Pranata Kamadam Padmajarchitam Dharani Mandanam Dheyamapadi Charana Pankajam Santamam Chate Ramananastane Alpayadihan. The gopis are saying, Dharani Mandanam. Your lotus feet are the ornament of the earth. They give the highest satisfaction in the times of danger. So here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also saying the same thing. Dharani Suchitram. Oh, the earth, Mother Earth becomes so happy. The lotus feet of the Lord, if we read in the 10th canto, whenever the Lord was moving in the forest of Vrindavan, wherever the Lord's lotus feet were put, it was like an architectural monument. Nobody will touch it. Even the animals also, they'll not put legs on that place. It's so important for them. And the Mother Earth, she becomes so happy because she's getting touched by the Lord. See, actually, there is a conjugal relationship between Mother Earth and Lord. How? Because when Lord came in Varaha Avatar, he lifted the Mother Earth, right? So they had a conjugal relation, and from that Bhaumasur was born. So that is why whenever the Lord appears, Mother Earth becomes very happy, because it's like their conjugal relationship is getting revived and expanded. And there is this verse in Sanskrit. What is it? Narinam Bhushanam Pati. For the woman, the ornament is husband. So for the earth, Mother Earth, the most cherished ornament is the Supreme Lord and his lotus feet. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appears, he manifests in this world, the Bhumi Devi becomes very beautiful, seeing the husband, she's blushing, she becomes so happy when he comes here. So that is a meaning. Dharani Suchitram. The Dharani becomes Suchitram, very attractive. Then Bhava Bhavochitam. I'm sorry. Bhava is emotion. So Lord has manifested that emotion which is appropriate for this age of Kali. See, the thing is, in this age of Kali, people are not very eager to seek God. Therefore, God comes and seeks them. So he traveled all over India. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled everywhere, and he encouraged his followers also to travel. And we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, Prithvi te aache jotu nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoy biman morna. So that bhava of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver the people of Kali Yuga, who is not even seeking to be delivered, they're not interested for that medicine. That same mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada carried in his heart. That is why at the ripe old age, he went 14 times around the globe, just trying to touch each and every nook of the corner and spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, bhava chitam. Then he says, tanu dhyana chitam. So, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, but he manifested himself, but his mind is absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And another thought on how to increase the enjoyment of Krishna. These are the two thoughts that are coming in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind. One, he's absorbed in Krishna. The other thing is how to increase the enjoyment of Krishna. So, how to increase the enjoyment of Krishna? By enabling more and more souls, getting more and more souls connected to Krishna, Krishna becomes happy. So if we bring more and more souls closer to Krishna, Krishna becomes happy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in that bhav, tanu dhyana chitam. His dhyan is how should I make Krishna more happy? That means his whole mind is focused on how should I preach and get more and more souls near to Krishna. And then in the last he says, Nija Vasa Yutam. Vasa is a place where they stay. Nija Vasa, his own place. So, not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended and spread the glories of holy name, but the place he descended also became glorious. That is a Navadvipa Dham. So that place where he descended is also glorious. So he manifested the glories of Navadvip to the people around the world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he predicted that in Navadvip, people from all over the world will come and they will glorify the Supreme Lord, and a magnificent temple will come up. And yes, now we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction is being fulfilled by Srila Prabhupada through his followers. We see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipped along with his sacred abode, and to that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my humble obeisances, is what Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is saying. So, Tanu Dhyana Chitam Nijavasayutam. He has glorified the place where he appeared. We go to the last verse of Sachisutastakam. Arunam Nayanam Charanam Vasanam Vadanaskalitam Swakanamadharam Kurute Shurasham Jagata Jivanam Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram Arunam Nayanam Charanam Vasanam Vadane Skalitam Swakanamadharam Kurute Shurasham Jagata Jivanam Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram. So here very beautiful explanation is given about the Lord's eyes. Says Aruna means Aruna Nayanam. Aruna means Aruna refers to sun, but of course sun has many names. You call Ravi or Bhaskar or different names, Surya. One object, it may have many names, like we have synonyms, but even if there are synonyms, there are different shades of those meaning. There are some small differences. So here Aruna is sun, but different kind of sun, not the blaring sun, not the blazing sun, which we see in the afternoon. Aruna is that sun which we see in the morning, the rising sun. The rising sun is very soothing and very attractive. The sun at the noon is at mid-afternoon is very illuminating. But it may not be very charming. You never hear anybody praising, wow, the afternoon sun is so beautiful. But the morning sun, everybody praises the rising sun. So here he says that the Lord's eyes are charming and they are attractive and they are reddish like the rising sun. And then same thing, he talks about his about his lotus feet also. Arunam, Nayanam, Charanam, Vasanam. His feet are also like that. And his dress is also like that. So beautiful feet. His feet is also looking like rising sun, and the golden complexion that he has, the clothes that he wears looks like rising sun. Then he says, Vadanes khalitam swakanamadharam. So he says that when he's singing his own holy name, the ecstasy is so overwhelming that he can no longer contain his ecstasy, and his words start becoming unclear. Like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to the Jagannath temple, and then he's looking at Jagannath. He's so much into ecstasy, he cannot even pronounce the name Jagannath. He just says, Ja. That's it. After that, he can't speak. The throat is getting choked with emotion, So see, the stammerings are at different levels. Sometimes we see small babies also, they stammer because they can't pronounce. Or sometimes we see some people stammer because they have difficulty of speaking. But here we are talking about a different kind of stammering. Some people, they may be having some disease, they're not able to speak properly, maybe some purva janma karma. Sometimes they get some health issues. But here we're not talking about bad karma, we're not talking about childishness. Here we are talking about that stammering which is like an ornament, when the Lord stammers, because it is out of so much emotion, so much love for God. So see, the normal bodily faculty which are normally they're under control of a person, but when they are in overwhelming devotion takes over them, then they lose control over their body faculties. They don't know what's happening. Sometimes they'll fall down, sometimes tears are coming, voice is not coming out, throat is getting choked, shivering is happening, hairs are rising, so like that. So here we says that but anyway, when this kind of stammering happens, it's an ornament, it's an ecstasy of devotion, and it's very supremely attractive. So vadane skhalitam swakanam dharam. And then the next line, he says, Kurute surasam jagata jivanam. That overwhelming ecstasy awakens the sweetness of devotion. Surasam is very, very sweet rasa. So this nectar of devotion is the life of the whole universe. Jagata jivanam. See, there is life everywhere. In this world we are seeing, but every life is ultimately doomed to death. Nobody can live permanently. What it says in Bhagavad Gita 2.27, Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu. So anybody who takes birth, they have to die. But when devotion is brought into that life, then that life does not terminate into that death, but that life becomes a transition which transports a person to an eternal level of existence. So for devotee, death is not a full stop, it's a comma. It's just one way to go get connected to Krishna. So here says that in this material world, life is filled with misery. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercy comes in life of a soul, then what does that mercy do? It makes the life in this world very joyful. It makes it in such a way that one molds one life in the service of the Lord. And by that, one attains eternal existence. So the purpose of all of existence is fulfilled when there is devotion. And without devotion, all of the existence is a journey to graveyard or destruction. But with devotion, the life in this world becomes joyful and it has a joyful conclusion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he transforms the miserable material existence into joyous spiritual existence. Actually, this world is dukhalayam ashashvatam. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, he has made our life joyful. So when the Karuna Kataksha, the side glance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu falls, then this whole world will become Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. Everything will become happy when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glance falls on us. So that doesn't mean that if we start doing Harinam, the Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik and Adi Devik miseries will not trouble us. Those miseries will still be there. But the only difference will be that now our heart will be connected with Krishna. And when the heart is connected with Krishna, that experience is so rich and so deeper happiness, it gives us so much pleasure that these material miseries, they become irrelevant. So that is what they say. Kurute surasam jagata jivanam. Pranamami Sachisuta Gauravaram. To that Gaura, to that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that beautiful beloved son of Sachi, I offer my humble obeisances. So this Sachisutastakam is a glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we hear this, it enables us to develop faith in the supreme mercy of the Lord, and we become attracted to that mercy. And then if we become attracted to that mercy, eventually we'll become the recipient of that mercy. And if we become recipient of this mercy, we can live as happy as possible in this world and ultimately return back home, back to Krishna. So it's a very, very beautiful, deep meanings of this Sachisutastakam. So I think I went over time. I'm sorry. So with this, I like to end it here. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class. Really very grateful to you, Mataji. Thank you. It was very nice narration of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mataji,
Mataji.
you
Thank
have
you.
time for questions, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranamam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. First of all, I would like to thank you for the wonderful lecture, Mataji. Mataji, I have a question regarding the years about, just now you mentioned about the Krishna's age is 15 and Radharani's age is 15.
Yes,
But
Mataji.
when I heard before, I heard that Radharani is couple of years elder than Krishna. So which one is correct, Mataji? I always get confused.
Whether Radharani was elder to Krishna, younger to Krishna. Yeah, okay, now this is I told you the resource from where I got this, right? So this is by Dhyana Chandra Goswami, disciple of Gopal Guru Goswami, and in his book Gaura Govinda Archana Smarana Paddhati, he has mentioned this. And Gopal Guru Goswami's book is that parampara is quite authentic. So, but again, you see, I feel I don't know why. Maybe we shouldn't worry so much about what is the age. Maybe when we go there, we'll figure it out, whether it is 14 years or 15 years, whether you are elder or younger. But we can take up one particular this and just meditate on that. So I've been sticking with this version for many years now, that this is what Krishna's age is. Because you see, this Kumar age is from 0 to, from birth to 5 years, and Pauganda is from 5 to 10. Kishore is from 10 to 15, and Yovana is 15 onwards. So we know that Krishna is called Rasaraj, and he's always in that age. So he's between Kishore and Yovan. So he's always 15 years, 9 months, 7.5 days. And Radharani is 14 years, 2 months, 15 days. And this is what is written in that book. So now I don't know about any other book which has given this exact years, month, and date. I'm not aware. But this seems quite confident, the way he has mentioned exact days also, 7.5 days, So this is what, and I've heard it from Mahanidhi Swami, and then I heard it in a couple of other classes also. So I think this is authentic. But then again, you can again check it with some other speakers also who come on your forum, and if they have some better idea. But this is what I know, and this is what I heard so far.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, do you have more time? There is one more raise hand.
Okay, last one, yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Vivek Prabhu, please go ahead, Vivek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for such nectarian class. And I was very overwhelmed with pure love. So Mataji, how to be the recipients of the such pure love of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What qualification we have to imbibe?
How to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Yes, how to get glance and mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
If you just go through this whole this Sachisutastakam, we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood and what he's all the time thinking in his mind is how to get more and more souls to Krishna. So if we can serve and assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mission, that will make him very happy. And from whatever situation we are put into, from there only, whatever we can preach and get more people connected to Krishna. Now, by what I mean by getting more people connected to Krishna is in whatever way we can preach. Sometimes it may be by giving classes, sometimes it may be by distributing books, sometimes it may be by distributing prasadam, sometimes it may be by simply keeping our behavior so sweet and beautiful that it attracts other people to Krishna. That is also one service. If wherever we are situated, when we are very exemplary and very nice in our behavior, it can attract other people into Krishna consciousness. So whatever situation we are put into, according to our capacity and ability, if we can somehow try and keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness and try to bring others also into Krishna consciousness, if that can be our mood, that will please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think we are so nicely placed in this organization called ISKCON. There's nothing much to think about. We can simply follow our guru and our mentors and our Siksha Guru or the local temple and render service, and rest will happen. We are all like those small screws in a big machine, no? Somewhere we'll be fitted, we may not be able to make a big difference sometimes, but every screw is important. Even if you're a small screw in the big machine, this whole ISKCON is like a big machine. We're all small screws, but somewhere Srila Prabhupada will use us and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be pleased with us, So like that, we can be in that mood, we should be, I don't know if, but one particular pastime I like a lot of Chaitanya, of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was once on a morning walk with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he was pointing out at some cactus, some wild herbs or something like that, and he was just pointing out and asking that what is this for, because he was showing this is for this is for that, and when he showed this particular cactus, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said it is useless. And Prabhupada got so upset, and he turned towards Tamal Krishna Maharaj and he said, "You are useless." Now, when the other people around, they heard it, they got surprised, because Prabhupada really likes Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he was one of the very prominent disciples, and he never speaks with him like that. And then Prabhupada made the second line, the statement. He said, "Nothing is useless in Krishna's creation." Maybe you don't know what is the use of this, but everything is useful in Krishna's creation. And I personally love this pastime so much. It's my favorite pastime. I always think that Prabhupada said that everything is useful in Krishna's creation. So for me personally, this is my personal meditation, that I sometimes think that, okay, I'm not able to do much, but Prabhupada said, everything is useful in Krishna. So maybe Prabhupada will use me somewhere, in some way he will employ me in Krishna's service, and that gives me so much solace, that it's okay, it's okay, I'm not useless. Somewhere Prabhupada will use me, Krishna will use me, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will use me. So like that, we can be in that mood. Okay, we may not be very great, but we are not useless. Prabhupada will use us. So if we can just be in that mood and we just pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, I don't have that much ability, but if you can use me somewhere, please use me. I just want to be part of your big machine. When we pray in that bhava, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will definitely take our service. Yeah, I just hope this answer helps you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sham Gauri Mataji, Hari Bol.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji, for a wonderful, beautiful class. They're nicely setting up the mood of Gaur Purnima. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time. You are so busy, but still you accept our request and come and give class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Mataji, would you like to say something? She wants to say some.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. On behalf of Bhakti Sangha Japa Group and organizers, we really want to thank you. So I just wrote something small for you. Lord Gauranga's face is sweet, complexion is sweet, mission is sweet, philosophy is also sweet. Thus, he is completely perfect sweetness. Thank you for your totally sweet rendition that can melt dry hearts. Dear servitor of the dearest servitor of Nitai. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, definitely. We can't be grateful enough, because every class of yours is so charged with so much potency, making people all over the world turn to devotion and taking to devotional service in Srila Prabhupada's mission. So thank you so very much. And I'm not qualified, but I can offer prayers that may you continue like this more and more and continue forever.
Thank you so much for your blessings.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.